Hello, hello. My name is Jake Ray. I'm a certified hypnotist and I practice regression and progression hypnosis as well as qhht, which I'm a level 2 practitioner of that technique. If you want to know more about my practice, definitely check out my website linked down below. You can also reach out to me for a free 30-minute consultation if you want to ask any questions or get some more info on my services. Otherwise, let's jump into the topic for today. I definitely think that with the holidays coming up very quickly in the next couple of weeks, and with most of us preparing to spend some time with family, oftentimes people we don't see very often, and I think many of whom we may not share the same beliefs or understandings or views of the universe, of the cosmos, of the world. And so I think that oftentimes that can be hard to navigate. I think it's an added layer when we are put back into situations and places and these situations that oftentimes trigger us and oftentimes remind us or put us back in that place where we may have had challenges as a child, where we may have had traumatic events. I think that even though the holidays can oftentimes be a lot of positive nostalgia and a lot of those positive feelings, for many, it brings back a lot of that hurt and pain and trauma of early life, of childhood, of young adulthood. And so I think that I really wanted to share today some insights from the higher self. I think that the message here is meant to help you as you embark upon these holiday events and situations. And of course, before we get into the topic for today, don't forget to hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any future videos, and share this out as well if you have someone else that you think might benefit from this info today. All right, so hypnosis and specifically regression are oftentimes associated with past lives, right? And yet it's just as great of a tool for dealing with situations, things from our current lifetime, especially if these are lessons that you hadn't learned or hadn't resolved, hadn't gone through completely in past lives. Oftentimes you're going to re-experience those, and you're going to go through similar patterns, similar lessons in this lifetime until you learn it, because if something continues to come up, there's still something there. And remembering that sort of repeated lesson situation is not about punishment for you. It's not about being stuck in like this loop of trauma, of challenges, of hardship. It is about those lessons that you chose to learn in this lifetime. You, as that soul, you chose these experiences to grow, to learn from, to experience. And so remembering that, I think, is one key piece of today. Certainly, if you want another specific example of sort of dealing with childhood trauma, dealing with stuff from this current lifetime, check out my video that I'll link up in the corner as well as down below on healing that childhood trauma. I think that this was a great example of how the session helped my client to find the answers and the healing that they were looking for. Today, I wanted to share a bit from another recent session. And in this session, my client's higher self shared some insight into why my client experienced the upbringing that they did, and more specifically in the church and in the religious community that they grew up in. And so my client came with this question around that and wanted to know if there was anything repressed, if there was any, suppressed memories from their upbringing in the church, because they still felt this lingering itch to dig into that. They felt like there was something still unresolved there. And we'll get more into that. But before we do, I wanted to play a quick clip from the higher self's response here. So let me play that clip and then we'll keep discussing.
Nothing is repressed. They were meant to learn. Humanity is blinded. Their power structures corrupt. They must not follow. They are of light. Their power is different, not tarnished. It is from love.
Okay, so as you heard, there wasn't anything repressed, but what my client was meant to learn was that humanity is blinded, that their power structures corrupt, and that more importantly, they were not supposed to follow this path. They were not supposed to follow in the footsteps of this institution, this structure that they were brought up in, because they are light and their power is different. It's not tarnished in the same way, and that their power comes from love. And I think that this this piece about power is really important to remember, and I think is a common theme that comes up. If you saw my video on witch wounds from a couple weeks back, or if you caught my live show with Solrita from Soul Alchemy Potions last week, you'll know that this theme of reclaiming our power, of stepping back into our power, is definitely a big theme right now for star seeds. When I went on to ask them for a little more clarity on this, I said basically that oftentimes we see the power structures in place, we see how power is corrupted and is used to hurt, to harm, in more of that service to self way. And when I told the higher self this, that we can oftentimes be fearful of our power, they were quick to say there's nothing to fear. And again, I think it ties back to where is that power coming from and what are your intentions with it. And I think that oftentimes we can see what's going on in the world around us and the ways that the current systems of power are harmful and be fearful of stepping into our own power, forgetting that it's coming from a different place, that it's coming from a different source, right? When they said that there's nothing to fear, I went a step further and asked them, just to make sure. So, has my client learned this lesson? And they said that they have, because they had left this system behind. They had definitely gone their own path. What their higher self said last was that they had taken what they needed from this situation, from this experience, from this institution. And so I think that that is oftentimes uh, the big thing that we need to acknowledge and accept before we can move on from some of those more traumatic experiences from our childhood is what have we taken with us? What have we learned from that lesson? And I think that that piece, that understanding, is where partnering up with our higher self can really, really help. Because ultimately, the reclaiming our power, stepping back in, great lesson here, super important point. But the most important point that I want to leave you all with is that the higher self explained why my client experienced this. They were able to articulate what it was that was important for my client to learn through that experience, and then they confirmed that they had learned it and they had taken what they needed and they were ready to move past it. And I've certainly found this in my work, that this is one of the pieces that makes regression so powerful and so impactful for people, is that it allows you to have this understanding and this recognition, which is often that final step needed in order to release and move past these old stagnant energies that are no longer serving, to release these karmic lessons that we don't need anymore. And so it's through remembering that why that allows us to integrate and release those negative emotions or cords that are tying us to that time. And so you'll remember me saying that, my client came with this question around religion, around their upbringing, around sort of the traumatic experiences they had within that institution. And this was because at that conscious level, at that ego level, my client still had not fully integrated or understood what was being learned, what lessons were meant for that experience. And so that's where, again, partnering up with your higher self and through hypnosis, through this regression process, being able to get those answers, to get that understanding, to get that insight from the part of you that knows best. It's that higher self. It's that subconscious. It's that source connected piece of you that has those answers. I think an important piece to remember is that this is also working with that inner child, which is oftentimes a term used in other modalities and other ways of talking about this. But I think it really helps to articulate the ways that working with that inner child, going and providing comfort and understanding and connecting with that part of you to then bring that part back, uh, bringing back that soul fragment, that piece of your energy, that piece of your life force that's been tangled up in that situation or in that moment in time, in that era of your life. And when you are able to reclaim and integrate that and bring that back, you're not only bringing back that energy that's been stuck in the past, you're bringing back that power that's yours, but you're also able to release that heaviness, that emotional weight that you've been carrying. And I think both of those pieces combined mean that you're stepping into the future more empowered and more whole than you were before. And I think that, yeah, I think that that's an important piece to mention. Now, of course, I'm a hypnotist. I think that hypnosis is such a powerful tool for doing this work. And I think that in many cases, we need that external support. We need that guidance to help us to navigate these sorts of situations. But I certainly think that there is work that you can do on your own. And as you go into this holiday season, if you find yourself in those moments where you are being reminded of childhood trauma, being if you're having a tough time with conversations or with people or with energies, taking a moment and getting quiet, go sit on the toilet in the bathroom, and meditate for a moment, or go for a walk and meditate for a moment, connect in with your higher self and ask them for insight, ask them for what that source is for that trigger or that trauma or that hurt or that emotional pain. And I think that can help you to take a step back and remember the larger context of your life and of your relationships. And I think that taking that moment to get quiet, connect in with yourself, can help you to understand that source so that you can have maybe not immediate peace with the situation, but at least having that context so that you can remain that observer and not get swept up in the emotions or in the trauma of it all. And of course, if you struggle to find that quiet or find that source on your own, as it can be difficult, especially if you're in that emotional place, finding someone that can support you through that process is certainly helpful. And as I hope you know, I am here for all of you if you are looking for guidance, if you're looking for a hypnotist assistance in transmuting these energies and is in understanding the source of your hurts and your traumas, because it truly is an honor to help guide people to connect with their higher selves and get these answers. Of course, there are probably some of you out there who are already aware of the source of these triggers or the source of these childhood karmic patterns. And if you have done some shadow work on your own, you've likely come to understand some of this. But ultimately, I think remembering that if something is still coming up, there's something that still needs to be healed there. There's something that still needs to be integrated or released. And oftentimes it's a little bit of a combination of all of the above, because oftentimes we do need to release something to be able to step into something new. All right, and I certainly don't want you to think that just because you are being triggered or because stuff is coming up, that you're somehow less than. Remembering that we are humans and we are living our lives, and life lessons aren't meant to be learned in the first quarter of your life and then you just coast from there. Life lessons are for your whole lifetime usually, and I think remembering that even after our physical death in this lifetime, we continue to learn lessons and we continue to seek out experience. And I think that this isn't meant to be overwhelming, though, as someone with that struggle with anxiety at times, I can understand how that might come off that way. It's meant to take some of that pressure off of you in remembering that you don't need to be perfect right now. You don't need to have all of the answers and have done all of your healing and be at this point of complete, godlike bliss, because you're still living life, and so there's still stuff that you're working on. And then final piece, I think, is that remembering that you designed your life, that you as a soul planned those situations and those relationships and those happenings throughout your life, so that you could have the experiences you came here for, to learn those lessons that you came here for, because ultimately it's about that soul growth. It's about experience and it's about lessons. So as you step into this holiday season, as we're already in this holiday season, if it's a tough time for you, I hope that taking a step back and getting quiet, reflecting on what the source is, getting that bigger picture, I hope that that can give you some comfort and that you can find your peace, find your calm in this holiday season. And I hope too that you can be proud of those lessons that you have learned and that you are learning. And even if you're still going through it, that that can be challenging, but again, hopefully that this perspective, this context can give you a little peace. So as much as you can, try to hold the high frequencies, stay in the love as much as you can, stay out of the fear, stay out of the anger, stay out of the conflict. Remember that you are more powerful than a tense holiday meal, and that you've got a lot of support with you on the other side, from your higher self, from your guides, from the angels, from all of these different beings, who are all here helping support you and helping to facilitate your soul growth in this lifetime, because it helps their soul growth as well. All right, so don't forget to like this video if you did find it useful, if you enjoyed it. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss my future videos. Wishing you all a happy holidays and sending all of the love and the light to you. Bye for now.